I saw something move inside the old sawmill, something too big and too wrong to be human. Pause. My name's Caleb, and I grew up in a dying town called Black Hollow, Oregon, surrounded by deep woods and deeper silence. One October weekend, my cousin Joey and I decided to hunt deer farther than ever before. We followed a narrow game trail downhill until it ended at a crumbled road. Pause. Below it, half sunken and wrapped in vines, was something we didn't expect, a ruined building with rusted walls. "That's Miller's sawmill," Joey said. "Burned down decades ago. No one ever talked about it. The roof had collapsed in just the right way to create a slope inside." Pause. "Bet you won't go down there," Joey grinned. I slid first, boots skidding across mossy metal. When I hit the floor, it groaned like it was waking up. The air inside smelled like rot, and something else I couldn't place. Joey dropped in behind me, landing with a dull thud. Pause. We stood there, flashlights trembling in our hands. The place felt wrong. Not just abandoned, but avoided, like the air itself didn't want to be there. Old saws dangled from above, shattered glass crunched under our feet. There was silence too perfect to be natural. Pause. Then we heard it, a distant creaking sound. Metal on stone, dragging slowly. Joey stiffened, whined. He asked to quiet. I shook my head. There was no whine down here, no windows, but the sound kept coming. We crept toward it. Pause. One hallway led deeper underground. The walls were black with soot and mold except for one strange room. It was clean. To clean, on the far wall, a chair was bolted upside down. Straps hung loose, like someone had struggled hard to get free. Behind the chair, something was carved into the wall. Pause. Not painted, scratched in. Deep and angry. 3 words. They took bones. No punctuation. No context. Joey laughed nervously until the lights flickered on. Real lights. In a building with no power. The lights buzzed on, one by one, overhead. Pause. Flickering tubes lit the hallway behind us, but we hadn't touched anything. There was no generator, no wires, no power pole outside, just damp wood, and silence that now felt alive. Joey backed toward me. "This isn't funny," he whispered. Pause. "I'm not laughing," I told him. We turned, and in the corridor, at the edge of the light, something shifted. A shape, tall, wrong, It moved like it had too many joints. I aimed my flashlight at it, but the beam just dissolved. Pause. Swallowed like it hit fog. Even though the air was still, Joey grabbed my sleeve. "Run." We turned back the way we came, sprinting past rusted beams and swaying hooks, but every step echoed too loud, louder than ours. There were more footsteps now. Pause. Not just one, but 2, 3, shuffling behind us. Heavy, uneven, like boots filled with water. My lungs burned as we reached the collapsed slope. I scrambled, slipped, clawed at vines. Something thudded below. Joey shoved me up, yelling, "Don't look back." Pause. I didn't. I couldn't. Something down there breathed loud, labored, inhuman. I caught the edge and rolled into the rain-soaked brush above the mill. Joey pulled himself out just seconds behind me. We didn't stop running until we hit the truck. Pause. Soaked in sweat and mud, we sat in the cab, hearts hammering. The forest was quiet again, dead quiet, and from where we parked, the sawmill wasn't even visible, like it had sunk deeper, or never been there. We drove home in silence. Pause. Joey wouldn't speak, his hand trembled on the wheel. And when we got back, we made a pact. We wouldn't tell anyone, not because they wouldn't believe us, but because we didn't want it to remember us. That night, I couldn't sleep. Pause. I kept hearing it, that dragging sound, metal on stone looping in my head. At 2:13 a.m., my phone lit up. One new message, unknown number. It said, "You weren't supposed to leave." I stared at it 4 minutes. Pause. No reply, no typing bubbles, just the message, sitting there like it had always been. I called Joey. he answered on the first ring. I got one too, he said. His voice was shaking. Same words.
We agreed not to reply. Pause. We powered off our phones and tried to move on. But over the next week, things got worse. Joey started hearing footsteps outside his window. Every night. Same time. Same heavy, dragging pattern.
At my house, the lights began flickering randomly. Pause. Even when unplugged, I opened the fridge one morning and found sawdust scattered on every shelf. No food, just dust, and a note tucked into the butter tray. It said, "They took my bones." That was the final straw. Pause. I drove back to the mill alone. Stupid, I know, but I had to see, had to make sure it wasn't real, only. When I got there was no mill. Nothing, just overgrowth and a collapsed hillside. I wandered the brush, searching for any sign. Pause. No slope, no rusted metal, no foundation. It was as if the forest had swallowed it whole. But just as I turned to leave, I saw it. A chair nailed to a tree, upside down, straps fluttering in the wind. And on the tree bark, something was carved. Pause. Deep, violent, stay buried. I ran, didn't look back, didn't breathe until I reached my car. When I checked my phone, there was a photo waiting. No sender, just an image of me, standing in the mill. That photo still haunts me. Pause. I was in the frame, standing inside a building that no longer exists. In the photo, I was smiling, but I don't remember smiling. And behind me, just visible in the dark, was a shape. Karma tall. Karma bent. Karma unmoving. I showed Joey. Pause. He turned white. I saw it too, he said. But in mine, you weren't alone. He pulled out his phone. Same photo, same pose, but someone else stood next to me. A blur of black and bones. We stopped talking about it after that. Pause. It was easier, like ignoring it would keep it away. We deleted the photos, burned our hunting gear, avoided the forest, but deep down, I knew. It hadn't forgotten us. Last week, I found something under my bed. Pause. A torn leather strap, nailed to a piece of rotted wood. The smell hit me instantly. Smoke, rust, and something. Old, older than the mill, older than the town itself. I don't know what we found in that sawmill. Pause. Or what found us. All I know is that it's still out there, and maybe it never left, maybe it never needed to, because now, it's already inside. I haven't slept in days. Pause. Every night, I hear those footsteps. Slow. Karma dragging. Karma they stop right outside my door. And then nothing. No knock, no whisper, just breathing. So close I can feel the heat. If you've ever seen something like this. Pause. Something that shouldn't exist. Something that watches from the dark. Leave a comment, tell me, because I need to know. I'm not the only one. Pause. Like this video if you want part 2. I checked into a motel in the middle of nowhere, and someone knocked on my door at 2 a.m. I was the only guest. It happened in January, on a long solo drive from Utah to Montana. I was heading home for the holidays, and after 10 hours on the road, I was too exhausted to keep going. Gas station clerk told me there was a motel about 15 miles down a side road. Said it was bare bones, but quiet. He wasn't wrong. The road was narrow, no lights, barely paved. By the time I reached the place, I was the only car in the lot. The sign above the door buzzed weakly. Inside, everything smelled like dust and lemon cleaner. The woman behind the counter looked surprised to see me. Said I was the only check-in for the night. She gave me room 9, last one at the end of the hallway. It felt too quiet, but I needed sleep more than comfort. The room was tiny. Karma one bed, old TV, lamp that flickered if you touched it wrong. I dropped my duffel and lay down on the blanket without unpacking. Didn't even change clothes, just scrolled my phone until my eyes blurred. I must have passed out by midnight. The knock came at exactly 2:08 a.m. 3 slow, heavy hits against the door. I shot up, heart pounding. There were no footsteps, no voices, just silence between each knock. like whoever it was waiting. I stayed still, didn't make a sound. Another knock. Then the doorknob turned. It twisted left, right, then rattled hard. Someone was trying to get in. I whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. I reached for my phone, but it was dead, even though it had been fully charged. I crept to the door and peeked through the peephole. Nothing, just darkness. The hallway lights were off now. I backed away, chilled to the bone. Then I heard a voice, right behind the door. It whispered my name, and it wasn't a voice I recognized. I froze dead still when the knocks hit the door. My heart hammered like a drum, loud enough I thought it would give me away. 3 slow, heavy knocks with long pauses in between. Whoever it was outside clearly expected me to answer and was willing to wait. The hallway outside was completely silent, no footsteps, no voices. I didn't move, didn't even breathe, just tried to stay invisible. My mind raced, but couldn't make sense of who or what might be out there, lurking in the darkness. Then came another knock, louder now. The doorknob began to turn slowly left, right, then rattled violently. Someone was trying to force the door open. I whispered, "Who's there?" but got no answer. My phone suddenly died, though it had been fully charged minutes ago. I was trapped, alone in that tiny room, with something outside trying to get in. I felt panic rising fast, but couldn't do anything. The air grew thick, cold, like it was closing in on me. Time seemed to slow down, and I was stuck in some nightmare I couldn't wake from. My body was frozen, heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I inched over to the door and peered through the peephole. Nothing but blackness stared back at me. The hallway lights had gone out. Then I heard it, a whisper of my name, soft and chilling, coming from just behind the door. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I knew this night was far from over. I couldn't move or call for help. The silence wasn't empty, it was alive with something terrible, waiting just outside my door. I backed away from the door, my skin crawling. The whisper came again, clearer this time, my name, slow and deliberate, like it was testing me. I tried to steady my breathing, but my hands were shaking so badly I could barely keep them still. The darkness outside felt like it was pressing in, squeezing the life out of me. I glanced around the room, searching for something to defend myself with, but there was nothing but that old, flickering lamp and my dead phone. The knocking started up again, softer now but faster, like a warning. The doorknob rattled again, and then silence. I waited, frozen, every nerve screaming, unsure if I should try to run or stay put. Suddenly, the room's temperature dropped sharply. My breath came out in quick clouds. I could hear faint scraping sounds coming from the other side of the door, like nails dragging against wood. I forced myself to step closer and press my ear to the door. The whisper wasn't there anymore. Instead, a low, guttural growl rumbled just beyond, shaking the thin walls. It was something alive and angry. Panic surged through me like a tidal wave. I grabbed the lamp and held it out like a weapon, knowing it wouldn't help. My mind raced for a plan, but there was no escape from this nightmare trapped inside this tiny room. The silence returned again, heavy and suffocating. Then, from the darkness came a single word, barely audible, but ice cold, "Come." I realized then I wasn't alone, and whatever it was wanted me to open that door. My hands trembled as I stood frozen in front of the door. That single word, "Come," echoed in my mind like a command I couldn't ignore. Every instinct screamed to run, but my body refused to move, trapped by fear and something else I couldn't name. The room felt colder than before, the air thick and heavy. Shadows seemed to shift in the corners, bending toward me. I could almost hear a faint breathing behind the door, slow, deliberate, like it was waiting for me to open up. I gripped the edge of the door frame, feeling the rough wood beneath my fingers. The knocking started again, soft this time, almost gentle, but there was something sinister beneath it. It wasn't just a visitor, it was something else. Then, the door handle slowly turned again, but this time it stopped, just before the door creaked open. I felt a breath cold and rancid brush against my face through the small crack. Panic turned to ice in my veins. I knew I couldn't hold on much longer. With a sudden burst of courage, I pushed the door open and lunged into the empty hallway. The lights flickered back on, revealing nothing but a deserted corridor. No sign of anyone or anything. It was as if the nightmare had vanished with the darkness. I didn't wait to question it. I ran down the hall and out into the freezing night air, the buzzing motel sign behind me flickering weakly. The silence that had swallowed everything now felt like a warning something I had narrowly escaped. As I drove away, my mind raced with questions I still couldn't answer. Who or what had whispered my name, and why did it want me to come? I never stayed at that motel again, but sometimes, late at night, I swear I still hear that voice calling me back. If you enjoyed today's stories, let me know in the comments below which one gave you chills. I'm always watching the comments, and your experience might be the next story I tell.